Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? Now I'm going to get an echo, so hold on one second. There we are. Don't even know if there's even anyone in here. Let's see. It says we're live. Ah, there we are. Okay, I think I got this one. I hope. We'll see. How y'all doing? This day here in the United States where we celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't know what the rest of other people do in other countries. Let me know. Got the Bengal tea. I was outside earlier and this piece of machinery is coming back on what is normally a walking path. And you ever get covered in just like all this dust and you begin to, your eyes go, what happened? And anyway, not everyone's off today. But I hope you are, wherever you may be. And if you're not in the United States, well, we all have good reason to be thankful. I was thinking earlier for myself, what an amazing year this has been. Virtually every person I know has been extremes. Now, follow me on this. I have seen those, and there's not as many that are really riding it high. And I see, on the other hand, a very large majority that this has been a trying year, a trying year in so many ways. Financially, for a lot of people, you would think that I'm going to turn my tea warmer on because you got to have the tea warmer. Nothing worse than cold tea. If you want cold tea, you're going to get iced tea, right? So anyway, bear with me. Newbie at the pilot here. Okay. So not only financially, where you think that the stock market is breaking all-time record highs, somebody's making a lot of money. I mean, we're going to see in some of the headlines that we're going to kind of surf through how really there's a dichotomy of two stories here. And health-wise, I've known some who have remarkable health and then others that are just having challenges. Um, it's like a cycle of negativity. Like you're in a situation, again, two extremes, where you don't have to do virtually anything and it turns out perfect for you. Then the other extreme is like no matter what you try to do, nothing seems to work. So I don't know. Are we seeing just what is the normal cycle in life? I don't know. So tell you what, I don't even know how many's actually in this room. There may be none of you here. Wow. Hi, there's 60 of you. Wow. Hey, Mr. T, thank you. Normal day there. Good deal. Warm here. By the way, I just want to say this for the record. Um, if we were in July, which here in Colorado is Denver is can be a really warm month. I mean, it can get up near 90 is the normal. Um, if we were in the summer to the comparative temperatures we're in today, we'd be somewhere about 110 degrees. I mean, we're supposed to get up to 72 degrees here tomorrow. That's, I've remembered when it snowed. So how's the weather in your parts? Had a gentleman send me down in Australia, one of the most interesting halo pictures of the sun. Now, we get them up here, uh, not this time of the year in the northern hemisphere, but it covered literally about 25% of the sky. So, how is the weather in your side? So, I don't know how many of you actually remember um, WKRP, Dr. Johnny Fiva. So, let me get myself out of the panel. Okay. So, I have been hearing about these booms happening all over the planet. In fact, I got another headline, and that's what we're about to do. We're going to go around the world and however long it takes us. All right. How many of you have been hearing loud booms? Now, here in Denver, Monday night, a number of locations had these mysterious booms. We had one. North of Denver, they were even louder than here. We know that they were not aircraft, they were not meteors exploding. They don't know what they were. So, as you can see, 9 p.m. Monday night, and people from all over, you can see it was actually registered. Look at this right there. Now, the great thing about living in the Front Range is that right up there at Boulder, that's where all the equipment is. I mean, how cool is that? So if there's something that's really going to happen, then we're going to be able to measure it. This is how they do it right here in Boulder. Look at this, folks. So Southern New Jersey, October 25th, same thing. Central Alabama, November 14th. Lewiston, Idaho, November 15th. The suburbs of Detroit, November 18th. So now check this out. Here's a story over on WND. Boom, mystery blast rattling the globe. Again, using the same thing. This is from Alabama. And now here they carry it on. November 8th, Tennessee. November 4th, Bend, Oregon. November 3rd, Minnesota. November 2nd, San Diego. So they can't figure it out, right? And then here's in the Daily Mail, what is causing in 64 different locations around the world. So how many of you have been hearing the booms? I've heard a lot of strange sounds the last couple of years, and this brought me to a thought. Yesterday I did this video that I guess YouTube finds somehow potentially offensive, not suitable for all advertisers and audiences. Okay, they'll change it. It's this algorithm. And by the way, we're going to talk about these algorithms. Anyway, I digress. So in 2015, you can go back, check the internet, check YouTube. There was a lot of these recordings around the world of strange sounds. Some of them sounded like trumpets. A lot of them to me sounded like, two pieces of metal grinding. Well, now that we know that the earth was slowing, and again, got into that. I mean, most people, a millisecond doesn't seem very long, but, we talk about mass, etc. So I wonder if that's what maybe we were hearing in, the atmosphere, below the planet, the topography of the mantle of the planet, the crust. Could that be? What are these mysterious booms? Are they of a natural occurrence because of things are happening that maybe mankind doesn't quite know about? We can't go down this road that all the answers are already known. Here, I've shown you 3 different stories that they don't know what this is. And what we're finding out more and more about us, particularly, is that we're more wrong than we're right. How many debates have been had on the whole dark energy, string theory? I mean, decades. Separated close friends, associates. So we can't come here and say, well, all right. Now, you could take one point of view and say, well, this is maybe of a manufactured event. Well, then that would suggest that there would be intelligent design behind it. Not saying that the effects of nature are not intelligent design, but you understand. I see nature as a component of elements of understanding mankind hasn't even comprehended. We may have at one time. Something happened. You know, I was over on the Barbara DeLong show on Monday night, and we had a delightful conversation talking about these very things. And we're going to deal more on this on Friday and probably tonight. Tune over there on Jeff Doherty's channel, and we'll be discussing. So anyway, um, let me know what you think on this, although I can't read the message boards. All right, moving right along. All right, so talking about algorithms. Here's a story on CNBC. Eric Schmidt. If there is the Wizard of Oz, this is the dude, man. This is the wizard. And if you doubt me, then you really need to know a little bit about Mr. Schmidt. However, when Mr. Schmidt speaks, Wall Street listens. Well, in fact, I can tell you that. I think virtually every country listens. So look what he said here. It can be very difficult for Google's search algorithm to understand truth. Boy, let's just talk about this a minute. Understand truth. So you think about this. AI is algorithms, complex, maybe quantum. They now have DNA computers. I'm going to do a whole story on this, folks. I swear we are in the twilight zone with a whole lot of the outer limits and then Stargate SG1. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see here, Schmidt goes on to talk about, let's say that this group believes fact A and this group believes fact B, and you passionately disagree with each other, and you are all publishing and writing about it, and so forth and so on. It is very difficult to understand truth. That's probably the most truthful thing I have read, because we live in a time, in an era that truth is becoming more difficult to define. Whose truth? Your point of view? I mean, I get ripped. And let me just say something for the record. For the most part, most of the people that are subscribers and come in and join, and where we actually have chats together and where we can talk, I got my Bengal spice tea, whatever you may have, whatever it is in time of day. But we can share ideas. We can share different points of view. That's what I do. Many people don't understand that this is a documentary of my awakening. And, I'm finding there's a lot of us on the same path, not as many as that there should be, I think, but yeah, there's more and more getting here. So And we can express variances of opinions, views, and for the most part, I will say this. I never get bashed by people of the Hindu faith. Don't get bashed by Buddhists. Don't get bashed by Muslims. But I do get bashed by a lot of Christians. I just, and I'm hoping a lot of those who listen that they can come to understand that with awareness and knowledge comes an awakening. There's knowledge that I can tell you, I did we're going to do on Friday night kind of chattel part 2, because as I'm finding out, none of us are free. And I'm going to show you 5 things in the system that prove that number 1, you do not exist as a person. There is no legal standing for any person in the United States. And it's the same for virtually every other country. You are not a person. We are, by definition, corporations. And someone wrote, very astute, by the way. Tell you what, we're going to have to get it somewhere where we can get instant coffee or tea, wherever you are. 5 stars in this one. He got cooperation. Yeah, that's what it is. We are cooperations. We are corporations, cooperations. And yikes. I mean, it's not fun. So anyway, what we got going here, folks, is this. The algorithms running our lives, when they don't know what truth is, how many stories have been produced where the conflict of the android comes in? That was the whole thing about 2001. Hal tried to figure out what truth is. And what he saw out of his creators was not what he eventually found out in the story. All right, so moving on along. Putin developing killer robot army after tank outperforms humans in drills. Folks, and I won't play the videos because you get copyrighted. You don't want that kind of stuff. But we can talk about it on news and commentary. And from a philosophical point of view. Oh, let's go ahead and throw in the theology too. All right. So, but all back to all seriousness. This is reality now. I mean, what? That's all I could say. Oh, it gets even weirder. We got other stories yet to come. So that one's a fun one. All right. Talked about this on Barber Show, but here's one for you folks. New York Post. Scientists might have been wrong about the Chernobyl disaster. Wow. Talk to the people in Europe and Eastern, what used to be the Eastern Russia, the Ukraine, all that, Romania, that area. Folks, seriously, maybe it was a little more intense than they told us. Maybe it was a little higher than they told us, because what we're finding out, and I believe I have another story. Here we go. Russian radioactivity recorded 986 times higher than usual as toxic cloud sparks nuclear accident rumors. I tell you, folks. Now, this was from I think it was from the China syndrome. But apparently, yeah, you folks over in Europe, I mean, seriously, you need to be taking iodine. You really do. I'm just throwing it out there. All righty, moving on right along. All right, let me turn this down. Hate your friend's taste in music? Here's how to change it according to science. Now, folks, get this seriously. All the videos I've been doing, and there's a lot of other channels out there doing it. Y'all know a lot about this. You've been tracking it. So, here's how you can trick your friend's brain into liking your taste of music or vice versa, using magnets to either stimulate or disrupt key brain circuits. I don't know. They call this transcranial magnetic stimulation. Folks, if this is getting out into mainstream, how long do you think it's already been here? And how far has it advanced? I keep thinking about all these people that suddenly go off the reservation. Las Vegas, and we know the stories. And I don't know. I mean, are we really seeing the Manchurian candidate syndrome? I know the software. I know of two different companies that actually manufacture, develop the software that they can zap us. I mean, you folks in the urban areas, yeah, it's much more prominent, but it's soon to come into the rural town of your choice. So if it's not already here, I keep telling you, Wi-Fi is the thing that's doing exactly this. And again, it's kind of like, if you were a victim of a vampire bat, you're not going to know that you're being sucked almost dry. So this has got really, I mean, it's kind of like letting the genie out of the bottle, but then you kind of look and you're going, well, the cap's already been off. We're just now catching up to it. Okay. I don't want to free guys. So I found this story interesting. Since now we know that dark matter doesn't exist, dark energy doesn't exist, gravity doesn't fit the model. I mean, it really doesn't. The whole vacuum, the idea of just how we thought we saw the universe. And now someone come along and darn it, they came in and they just scattered all the cards all over the place. We've been working on building our castle. So now it's coming in here to different thoughts. Now, this is not so far-fetched because of this, all they can say, it's this object that came, how I love the program. It came from outer space. But seriously, it came from not our quadrant of what we call space. This thing was weird. There's other channels that actually did a story on it. It was not of the same shape of anything like what we see. This thing was long. It was oblong. And the thing about it is, it apparently is made of a solid material that did not have the same effects of either what we expect to see with asteroids or comets. So a lot of thought that maybe there are yet objects in space. Space is big. I'm sorry, I just thought of something on that. That maybe there are hitchhikers. Well, that's why we need the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a strange place out there. And we're finding out now that not necessarily because of something hits an atmosphere, that where it is the reentry of a capsule, let's say, that organisms cannot survive We know that they can. So who knows where and what this is? Maybe there are cedars out there. I once heard the thought of a race, a species, not a race, let's just say a species, that it's beyond our level of comprehension, other than the fact that the idea has been postulated that they're cedars. That's all they do. Because if you take the fact that creation even is an event, it all had to start from somewhere. Or we can't handle the thought that that couldn't be true. Maybe it just was. We don't think about that. I do. Why does it need a beginning? Why does it need a start? Our universe is old. Astrophysicists will tell you that. Astronomers will tell you that. It's old. It's ancient. That's why eternity doesn't work for me anymore. Because I'm finally getting it through that consciousness. And, I can be a stubborn individual at times. But maybe there really is or was no beginning, and maybe there really is no end. How would we know? Again. Yeah. So there you go. Now, this one, wait a minute, is not the story that is supposed to be there. Well, this one was actually going to be a good story. It was, sorry about that. We don't like your story. Okay. All right. Stop it. All right. Atlantis found. So now, before you go off on the deep end and think, you got to see who's doing this. Yeah, you got the heavyweights in here. They believe that they have, in fact, found Atlantis. Now, I'm looking forward to this. This will be on National Geographic, I believe. It's going to make things, I think, very interesting, folks. Again, we have a perception of history that actually was crafted nearly 1,500 years ago. So much of what most Westerners perceive, now, those who were born and grew up with the cultures of the Far East, Indonesia, even the Aborigines, they have a different perception on history. And I happen to think that there was a place called Atlantis. I absolutely do believe. I am convinced that mankind was at one time what has been defined, and I have seen this in multiple different readings of ancient scriptures, is that we were in a time of golden enlightenment. We were advancing, and my theory is that we have actually digressed. We have regressed. We have not advanced. So anyway, I have no idea what's going on in the chat room, but let me go on with this. Oh, yeah. How's this one? Now, like you need any of this kind of stuff, right? But then again, to be forewarned is to be forearmed, right? There are 2,000 serial killers roaming the streets of the United States. Criminologists makes terrifying estimate based on chilling new research into mass murders. Another reason for open carry. Anyway, so now when I read these stories, they've gone back and did data points. I know, and this is how you got to figure out how they did the statistics and how they come up with this. So, they're using an algorithm, and apparently the Earth is no longer needing to foot the bill for this guy. Yeah. Anyway, just an interesting statistic. By looking at deaths, murders, missing people, yada, yada, yada. And by the way, we're going to do a story on missing children. It needs to be talked about. This is not the time. We've got so much to be grateful for. But that being said, let's just hope this story is merely a hypothesis. Now, here's another one. We sometimes get distracted because the world is just bat crap crazy, folks. I mean, that's all it is. That's all I got to say. And, you know, it's kind of like this thing, you know, it's like you're trying to, all right, ladies, no offense here. And guys, this is true because, you know, we all do it. You're trying to get into a pair of 32s when you're already at a 35. And no matter where you start trying to move the mass, at some point in time, it's going to show up somewhere else. And this is what it's like today. So, man, just be aware over there. They're shelling Syria, and you know, be aware of Putin. That's all I got to say on that one. All right. Whoa. Stop. That's what I say. All right. China's supercomputer races past US to world dominance. Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously, folks, don't underestimate the Chinese. Kurowitz, who is the future, works at Google, Singularity University. I think we're already there. When you begin to integrate quantum with actual DNA computing, that to me is a pretty much AI taking over. And how about this? Look at this. You have the gigs, the teras, and by the way, these are the penta, and what is the new one now? It's getting up there where I just say in common language, that's really fast. So yeah, sleep well tonight, folks. Remember, the United States is owned by China. Yeah, let's go continue. So this one really bummed me out, folks. This is what I meant by this dichotomy of the economy. All right, you can use that. Mobile homes are so expensive now, hurricane victims can't afford them. Folks, when it's getting to the point where you can't afford a mobile home, what's the next thing? By the way, I get finished with this. I want to go live. I want to talk to y'all. I have an idea that I want you all to help me with. So 22 million Americans. Now, we all know what happened to the hurricanes this year. Texas, Gulf Coast got spanked. Florida got spanked. And the majority of the people down there live in mobile homes. Well, the story goes on, they can't afford them. It's just, something's wrong here, folks. Something's really wrong. But we're not going to end on this. Well, I have an idea. Actually, it came to me in my sleep last night. All right. Now, just one more affirmation after the other. People doubt me on this, but I am telling you, folks, in 2008, on September 28th, And the exact time on that was about 10, 11, right out, a little bit after 11 o'clock. The United States went into a full-fledged depression. They altered the numbers through the Commerce Labor Department. They altered the numbers on the Consumer Price Index. And today, the wages for bachelor degree students, citizens, professionals, those degrees are only paying $12 to $15 an hour. Now, it gets worse. When you look at the true consumer price index, the true inflation, the true unemployment, you see, they skewed the numbers back in 2010. And when they skewed the numbers, it literally moved 23 million people off the rolls. They no longer existed. Why? Because you're not a person. But anyway, so they skewed the data. And Americans just went about their merry way. So when you see the evidence like this, yeah. Now, we know of this. We have friends, very close friends. We have a lovely couple that, one of our best friends, that they've had, I think, every one of their millennial children live with them at some point in time. And it's, again, it's this illusion. So, yeah, really strange, isn't it? All right, wait a minute. Here you go. Bionic devices turn humans into super strong workers. Yeah. Nothing to this transhumanism. Nothing at all. So as we head out, you're not being paranoid. You cannot go anywhere virtually now. Even your firewalls can't stop it. They got bots. Little bots got into, our bots. But yeah, folks, we live in a time of exactly what, George Orwell saw it. This says 1984. This is Big Brother. It's here. How many of you watched that show, PD Live? Check it out sometime. I always find it interesting why you have civilian law enforcement wearing military insignia and garb. I don't know. I'll move on. I move on. All right. Finally coming out. Just because people perceive you to be old does not necessarily mean that you are. We now have this wonderful new generation. And I still get weirded out when someone says, oh, so you actually saw the classic bands. They were just bands. That's all they were. But yeah, but anyway, so here we go. What was shall yet be again, I think, is what Ecclesiastes writes. And there we go. So, how was that? I told you it's very interesting. I don't know how many of you are even still here, but give me 1 second. There we go. Wow, there's 147 people in here. Holy cow, Batman. I'm kind of blown away, to be honest with you. So, well, hello, everyone. Good to see you. That just, wow, that's very humbling. Thank you. Well, strange stuff, isn't it? Lot of strange things going on. But let me get back to this great generation. Um, it's my wife's granddaughter, that generation. They're the ones about to graduate through high school and getting into college. Is the fact that apparently they love this classic music. I'm going, holy crap! Here I am. Now, I grew up playing the clarinet, the bassoon, and the flute. So Benny Goodman was a one of my people that I looked at. I mean, he played the clarinet. He had his own band. He was a big thing back in the 30s. And then back in the day, and I don't know how anyone ever lived in St. Louis, but if you remember back about 1977, KMOX radio in St. Louis, I think it was 1040 AM, had Jack Carney. And Jack Carney was carried because KMOX was the flagship of CBS's stations. But anyway, I digress. So Jack Carney would do these wonderful audio documentaries, is what they were, because the internet didn't exist. I think today, these guys, some of these pioneers like Jack Carney, check them out, folks. Go look, Google them up. Um, he did these, and you know what he gave me was this greater appreciation of the music as it transcended from what my rock and roll was. And I had classical training. I played the bassoon. Now, I never saw a rock band that actually had a bassoon. Um, Elton John in his very early days, loved the guy. There was a movie that has been banned. It's now, anyway, I won't, called Friends. And it was what really turned me on about Elton John was that, you would hear the oboe, you would hear the French horn, a real appreciation of what music is. And music is math. So when I started learning to play the bassoon, I got into a lot of what are the classics, Bach, um, you name it. And Jack Carney began to show me appreciation for Frank Sinatra, the crooners. They were great. They added so much to the music that because actually the crooners were, you think about it, what the people needed. It was in the middle of the Depression, and people were looking for something to soothe the burden that they had. And so, you know, the greats that are out there, um, I just happen to like Frank Sinatra, but there were many other great ones out there. Um, and as we moved forward into the 40s, the big bands took over. And they really were the next step, which actually went to what the war did because everything got speeded up really fast and never slowed down. And actually, how from the big bands brought on people like Buddy Holly. And all of these actually originated from the blues, people like Robert Johnson, um, great blues player from Mississippi. And, back in the days when blacks weren't allowed to showcase their talents. That's why they have so much soul. And I've told y'all my story before. I grew up in spent a year or so in a state home. My was Dad almost beat me to death is what happened. But anyway, I move on. But while I was there, it was such a cultural awareness for me. My roommate there, I remember in Cottage 2, was a guy by the name of James, black guy, turned me on to Motown. I tell you what, after that, it was like, wow, this is cool. And then soul music. You kidding me? Anyway, so I had this idea. I want y'all to think about this. Don't want to waste your time, but so homelessness, people without homes, um, it's getting to be a real problem. Now, I have a nonprofit, as many of you know, called 60 Seconds for Humanity. And our purpose is to bring together eventually 5 billion people for 60 seconds in one harmonious thought. Had this dream last night. What if we had a way that where we could begin to recycle, um, and I'll just say buildings that would be very cost affordable, that it would require number of steps, but the eventual goal is this. I have a real concern for, well, it's not just mothers and children's. We get that, and there are plenty of resources, but one of the biggest problems I'm seeing that's not being reported on is the senior citizens that are homeless. And I think that that's a travesty of a society to cast off those that gave of themselves, their essences, their energies to create the world that we have today. Now, world's, as I said, back crap crazy. We know that, but there's a lot of things going on. These are some things that we can do. And what I would like y'all to think about is maybe the mission to expand out. We've got the Core 100 group, and they're staying focused in on that. I think that we could begin to look seriously into 2018 of putting together an awareness campaign and a solution that where no senior citizen in the United States, and others could duplicate the models in your country for senior citizens. There should be no reason for any senior citizen not to have a home. And this, the plan I'm thinking about, would be so cost effective. It would be absolutely more cost effective, economical for any community, any city to hear this plan. And it could be very diverse in the different parts of town so you don't get this stigmatism, that it can be in such a way that it would be one that I think would even go into the suburbs, the urban areas. So let me just see what y'all think about that. I'll get out of here real quick and just see. What does everyone think on that? Cool. Yes. Religionless faith. I agree with you on that. Okay. Well, give it some thought. You know, I had it come to me in a dream that uh, it's something that we can do. You know, I think that's one of the things I love about the Oriental cultures, um, is that they honor their senior citizens. They're revered, and it's something that we don't. And I think about, well, veterans. I mean, there's a lot of awareness with veterans, and I get that. And, but, you know, if there's going to be, assisted living and that type of necessity, and listen, I understand there's a there's a necessity for that. We are suffering an epidemic of dementia. I didn't know this. David Cassidy, passed away yesterday, and I remember that. I mean, you know, I like the song. Hey, I think I love you. Yeah. So anyway, um, but it shows that there's a passing going on here. But I did not know that he was suffering from dementia. Now, it could have been because of the drugs and alcohol. I mean, yeah, that has a lot to do it. But there's something else going on. More and more um, people younger of age. You know, one of my favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan, died of Alzheimer's. Robbed, robbed of who you are. Glenn Campbell just recently passed away. And so it's something that we know is the inevitability, and I still think that we could do something about this. And maybe it could spark to other words. I don't think there should be one homeless person here. Now, some people just, I don't think you should live off the lam either. I've often said this: if you gave a person shelter and you provided within that shelter the means for them to grow food, I think it should be required, not under penalty of law, but under the law of common sense, that every person has a garden. If every person, every family had a garden, do you realize what that would do? I mean, you could absolutely end hunger overnight. The problem is you wouldn't get the GMOs and everything else. But I think we can do something. There's an awareness that's going on, folks. And the ideas, if you've got ideas, email me, you know, StigerRRWayne at gmail.com. Um, the purpose of 60 Seconds for Humanity is for the betterment and for the education of culture, society, and education. So let's see if maybe we can do something with that. It's a good purpose. All right. Wow. Almost an hour has gone by. So I just want to say thank you. I'll be over on Jeff's station tonight. Um, Thank you all, Barbara, Michelle, um, April. Wow. Honored, honored. Thank you. Really. What is 135 of you doing off work? No, I'm just kidding. Seriously. Hey, I appreciate every one of you. My heartfelt thank you. If you're going to celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow, enjoy it with the family. If not, we all got something to be thankful for. Bless you all, and we will talk to you Friday night. How about that? Make sure to tune in. And let's just blow the doors off some of the taboo subjects. I'm never guilty of that. Good gracious. If someone was to say that I was guilty of alternative thought, can you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, all my best to you. We will talk to you soon. Thank you all and have a great day. I was going to say good night, but maybe it's good night where you are. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye bye.